WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 7 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. The word cancer is probably one of the scariest words in the medical world, especially if you are the one hearing it about yourself or a loved one. Let's see. When my dad was dying, he didn't have cancer, but he definitely needed a lot of stuff, and it was from that I'm going to try to introduce you to our next guest. What happened in the last 6 months of my dad's life was that we had to have a lot of help because he was either going to be, the choice was either move him to a hospital in Ohio, because there was only one that could take care of what he had, whatever was wrong with him, or all of us as family have to be trained as mini nurses or to temporary nurses and learn how to do things that we never did in our lives before and take shifts, because it's going to have to be 24 hours a day, and then he can live at home. And have a special bed. And Robin, you were so instrumental in that, and thank you always for that. My niece Wendy also was very instrumental in that, as was the whole family. But the reason I bring up Wendy specifically is because Wendy created a binder, and it was that binder that kept all of us on track. We all knew if the medications had been given. We all knew if the bandages had been changed. We all knew everything that we needed to know. If you had a question, you look in the binder, because everybody was doing a really good job keeping up with the notes. But if it hadn't been for the organized
for Wendy
talents of Wendy, yes. So, and I know she can't hear us because she's up in the Panhandle, but
she's marvelous.
She was really great. Josette Snyder is on the phone. She sounds like she's probably got that same kind of spirit as Wendy did. Or does. Josette is a clinical nurse specialist at the Cleveland Clinic Taussig Center Cancer Institute. I wonder if that's where they were going to send my dad.
Oh.
She's been an oncology nurse for 20 years. She's a contributor to chemocare.com. She's a facilitator for chemotherapy education classes, cancer etiquette classes. Wow, I didn't know there was such a thing.
No.
And survivorship classes. The book is The Complete Cancer Organizer: Your Answers to Questions About Living with Cancer. This is a tough topic to tackle, isn't it? Josette Snyder. Good morning, Josette.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
You can hear me okay, I hope, right?
I can, very well.
Okay, good. Could you hear the intro? I know it was kind of long, but I think what you're doing is more important than people realize.
Well, I did hear the intro, and I heard about your father there. Yes, and we, very common kind of question or kind of story that we hear.
Okay.
People who, until you need to know something about cancer, you really, it's really a surprise to many people.
Now, my dad did not have cancer. My mom did, and one of the things she had to go through was the hair loss thing. Which, of all the things to be worried about, it's got to be a lady's thing, because it was the one thing she hated the most. Everything else she could handle. She was a real strong lady, but the hair thing she hated.
Well, it's the thing that's so obvious. It's there.
Yeah. So today is World Cancer Day, and your organizer is it a book that we buy? Is it in what form does it take?
Yeah, it is a book. It's about a 200-page book, and it has several chapters in it, and each of those chapters kind of deals with a certain point in the treatment of cancer, from diagnosis through survivorship. And so that's each chapter has a certain part to that.
Just so without seeing we haven't seen the book.
Okay.
But I want you to know that Robin and I pride ourselves on trying to ask questions and then figure out what the guest is talking about, and then move forward. And our publicists do such a great job, and your publicist helped us with some questions, Sam. And so the one question I don't think either one of us would have ever thought of, I have to ask this because it's in the paperwork. What do I wear to chemotherapy? Who would even think that would be a question? What do I wear?
Right, right. And those are some of the simple things that, you don't even think about. But what we tell our people is, to come in comfortable clothes. We're not going to change, have you change into a hospital gown or anything like that. But, if you're going to be there a long time, the whole day at chemotherapy, just, something that you can, if you need an IV started in your arm, so that they can get to your arm.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, to wear layers of clothes. Sometimes you get in a room, you're too warm or too cold. Usually, if it's too cold, you can get some blankets and that. But if you're too warm, shirt sleeves are good. And then the other thing is, with getting extra fluids, a lot of times with the chemotherapy, you might be up and down to the bathroom. And it's not like you're stuck to staying in the chair, but you can get up into the bathroom. Wear something that's easy to do that with.
See, I wouldn't have thought of that.
And sometimes that about going to the bathroom a lot where you lose all of your bodily fluids is really scary. We have a friend right now who has stage 4 cancer and technically is in remission, but he was just readmitted to the hospital because he was having a problem keeping anything down, and then it was also going out the other end, so he was starting to get dehydrated. So his doctor put him in the hospital right away and now has to decide how he can adjust his medication and still keep the cancer at bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, not all cancer and not all chemotherapies, there's hundreds of different medications. They don't all have the same side effects. So, not everybody will have, problems with dehydration or diarrhea or, things like that, or lose their hair. But, different side effects happen. And, one of the things we do want to watch out for is, helping to manage so that you don't get some of the problems. You don't end up in the hospital because you're dehydrated. What kind of things can you do to help that not happen?
I think the first thing I would ask is, do any of these alternative methods that you hear about work? Mm-hmm. Because everybody says, chemo and radiation, those are really bad, but those seem to be what works. But other people, and we, as talk show hosts, trust me, we talk to everybody, and there's so many people out there, and we never mislead our listeners. We want them to know that we don't know, and we take everything with a grain of salt. But if somebody says that, for example, baking soda can cure cancer,
anybody could say anything.
Yeah,
can do that. But you have to look at sort of the credibility of that person and what has been studied about whatever that method is. We are pretty much looking at the types of chemotherapy, radiation therapy, surgeries, things that have shown, some response to cancers. Cancer is pretty complex. And, I've been doing this long enough that even something we look at, the studies and that go into finding out if a cancer treatment is going to work. A lot of times you can have something happen and work in a petri dish, but does that happen? Does it also have the same response in a person as well as many people?
Right,
and so can we duplicate that response? And that's where, we do a lot of the trials and, moving through that process to find out what is, can we do better than the last treatment? Can we move along? The
book is called The Complete Cancer Organizer. It's written by our guest, Josette Snyder, and we'll be right back with Josette after we take the break. You're listening to WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For Thursday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly during the afternoon hours. A high in the 70s to near 80 in the southernmost part of the zone. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and turning cooler Thursday night with periods of rain early, then a lingering shower or two late. Lows will range from 39 in the northwest part of the zone to 51 in the southeast part. Some sunshine returns Friday, a breezy, much cooler day, high 59 to 63. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Oh my, how did another 365 days go by? If you're looking to make a change in 2016, get involved in the health scene. Get rid of the old and try something new, like acupuncture at A Better You. Pain in your joints or knees? Throw out your back every time you sneeze? Then acupuncture is sure to please. From pain to allergies, even the flu, come get acupuncture at A Better You. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein with A Better You Healthcare today at 352-615-5566.
On February 13th, the Circle Square Cultural Center at On Top of the World will host the annual Home Improvement Expo. But on Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m., Robert Colin from On Top of the World will be our guest to discuss all the exciting aspects of the expo. The expo is free to the public and there will be fun and prizes. Robert will be telling us about the exhibitors and discussing some of the demonstrations. So be sure to listen Monday, February 8th at 9:45 a.m. when Robert Colin will be here to answer your questions.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Research tells us that exercise makes us smarter and more productive. However, different workouts give us different benefits. How much somebody earns is not indicative of whether they're a cheapskate or a spendthrift, because somebody who's broke could still have a shopping addiction. It happens all the time. But it turns out the happiest couples focus on just two words: thank you.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
All right, 19 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Josette Snyder is on the phone. The book we've been talking about is called The Complete Cancer Organizer. And we should mention that there's another author, Jamie Schwachter. Am I saying the name right, Josette?
That's right. Yes, that's Jamie Schwachter.
Do you work with each other? Are you?
Yes, we do. We share an office, and we both take phone calls. And we are both advanced practice nurses and working
So let me ask
together
you,
at Cleveland Clinic.
Okay, when you work in, Robert and I work in the same office. So in any line of work where you have people asking questions, you probably have said to each other, "Gosh, so many people ask this question. Every day I'm asked the same question every day," which of course each person it's new for them and they're asking it. So is that the brainchild of the book? That kind of idea?
That very much is. You know, we had heard these questions, and it really, when we were actually approached to write the book, it was very easy to go through. Well, and in one way, it's very easy to say, okay, let's figure out which questions are most common at this part of the disease continuum, and that's how we sort of brought those questions to light.
Are the questions broken down into categories? Like, for example, the person who is scared might ask a different kind of a question than the person who's accepting that he or she is dying. I mean, that's got to be two totally different questions.
Yeah, well, we went more through. There are different questions at different time points. And, you know, some of it is just the information that we provide in there that comes from the questions that have been asked. You know, in the beginning, you know, with a new diagnosis, the questions may be, you know, when are they going to start treatment for me? You know, why is it taking so long? Those kinds of questions. As a person's going through treatment, you know, things like, you know, what do I wear to chemotherapy, or will I lose my hair? You know,
right. Well, I heard a question the other day, and just so you know, and for the listeners, it has nothing to do with me or anybody really that I know, but I overheard it in wherever we were, in the restaurant, I guess, in Pizza Hut, and the question was, why do they wait so long sometimes? Why? If you're diagnosed with cancer, why do they say, okay, come back in 3 is Why is it such a long wait? And is cancer, I mean, do the doctors say, well, this is a very slow one, so we're going to keep, why do they sometimes wait a long time?
Yeah, so cancer is over 100 different types of diseases. So I would imagine somebody, who they're saying, okay, come back in 3 months, we're going to see what's happening. That's a cancer. You have to look at what is the natural history of how that cancer is moving. Sometimes when a person goes in, say they have a breast lump, well, we want to find out what that breast lump is as quickly as possible. And when we find out if it is a cancer, then okay, we need the information from the specimen so that we know how best to treat that particular cancer. So there may be some time in there where they're doing some staging studies, or, so that we know we have enough information. And some things can take, to get the biopsy specimen, it may take a week, to get that information. So we won't have that information. So we're going to, bring you back in a reasonable time to get things moving so that, yeah.
Since you and your partner, Jamie Schwachter, run the Cancer Answer line, do you get questions from the caregivers as well as the patients?
Absolutely, yes. Often it's a caregiver who's calling, or it's a family member from, they're in California. My mom and dad live in Ohio, and I'm not sure what they're telling them. And, are they asking the right questions? So we get questions from anybody. And the caregivers are often the people who are making the phone call.
What about jargon or just simply medical abbreviations sometimes? Sometimes they'll scare us, or we'll hear them on the TV shows, and we think, oh, my gosh. Are those things clearly defined in the book?
Well, I think some of that, there could be so much that you put into the book.
Right.
It's only 200 pages.
Yeah.
So we have tried to everything that we've talked about in layperson's terms. So
as you're doing now, because I'm understanding you pretty good.
Yeah, and that's so much of what we do. We don't start spouting off. I like watching doctor shows. It's like, okay, I understand everything you've said, but boy, does it sound great to somebody who's not listening to that kind of talk.
What is the answer to the question, should I tell my family?
Well, I think family knows something's going on, and I think people know with their family who are the when is a good time to tell them. You're going to need to help, and what is your relationship with each of the family members? So there's differences with when you're telling your spouse, when you're telling your children, the ages of the children, telling your parents. And I think it's best that people have some information. I think the decision is how much of the information, or what is going to be helpful to you and in that relationship.
Should denial always be there, because then that way you can always have a more positive outlook?
I don't understand.
Because people, they'll be diagnosed with something, and then they'll go for 3, 4, maybe 5 different opinions. And the longer they do that, the more positive their outlook seems to be, and then the more positive things they feel they can accomplish in their life before whatever happens.
Well, I think it's important to get the information about the cancer and what it really means. I think if you're denying the problem and don't seek the appropriate treatment, you could be doing yourself a big disservice than moving on with going with treatment.
Yeah, really. So just get the second or third opinion. What if the second opinion is, no, you don't have cancer? Then what do you do?
Yeah.
What
we tell people, like if they're coming to our facility for a second opinion, we want to have all the information that led to the decision in the beginning, and the opinion in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't mean that we're just taking their word for it. We'll do a review of the pathology. We'll do a review. We want to actually see the scans that they were looking at. And if there is a difference of opinion, well, then, there's the decision. Sometimes the people will go for a third opinion just to, have that. But you always want to have the same information available.
Do you know what's probably a very hard question to answer? Where is the best place to go in the country? Let's say you say, okay, I got this. There's got to be some doctor in this country that knows how to fix it. Where is he? That's got to be the hardest question, because we as people believe, I think, that we've got good, better, and best in everything. And you might have the best doctor in your own town, but because it's your town, you might not. You know how we are. We're hard to embrace the people close to us. Yeah.
And I think we have that, here in Cleveland. We have excellent health care in Cleveland, Ohio. And we have people coming from all over the world coming to our facility and to have their care. But, you have your, the people here, well, I'm not going to Cleveland Clinic, and it's right in your hometown.
But,
Why would you not do that? And then, you're very right. We don't always appreciate what's right here in our hometown. And likewise, here in the United States, we have people coming from all over the world coming to the United States for our health care.
That's true. In my intro, I mentioned that we were told that my father either had to move to a hospital in Ohio, with the only one in the country that could handle him, or live at home. And without getting into the details, he had like a trach or something in his throat, in his neck. And so you must have some pretty good hospitals up there. If in two cases we had Ohio being recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's an answer to your question. Where do I go? I go to Ohio. Josette, thank you for doing what you're doing. I think you're probably still going to get the questions. You're still going to get the phone calls, but there will be a lot. There will be a lot of people who will get the book. Is the book available as an ebook?
I think it's going to be, but right now it's can be purchased on Amazon through Barnes & Noble website. I know it's on there for sure.
All right, and so just go buy the book. It's called The Complete Cancer Organizer, Your Answers to Questions About Living with Cancer. I'm guessing you're going to do pretty well with this book. Thank you for what you've chosen to do with your life, and thank Jamie Schwachter for us, if you would, please.
Okay.
And Josette, thank you so much. What's the weather like? Is it cold in Ohio?
It is. Yes, we had a nice warm day yesterday, 60s, and now we're back to...
You might have good doctors, but we've got sunshine.
I'm going to be visiting you in March, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yay.
Thank you, Josette.
Yeah. Okay,
right,
thank you.
We'll be right back.
Bye-bye.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu at the annual National Prayer Breakfast in Washington.
Giving all praise and honor to God for bringing us together here this morning.
President focusing on how religious faith can help people overcome their fears and embrace their common humanity. It's its final presidential appearance at this gathering, held on the first Thursday of February each year. There's hope for people with type 1 diabetes.